Um,
I have visions of this ball and chain at my ankle, and you're going to click it loose at some point.
Well, no, this is actually, as much as I began it like humming "No Prisoners" to you, which I actually have been wanting to do for a long time to begin an interview. So thank you for letting me do that.
It's good to have very small, manageable dreams, Evan.
No, but that's going in the beginning of the interview, and there's going to be some people out there that are going to appreciate our back and forth. You said about marketing, and I totally agree and understand that was your intent. But I do remember talking to you about Workshed, and you seemed to understand marketing in terms of the way the record should look.
So to me, there's a difference between marketing and brand building, and that's a really counterintuitive statement. But what I would say is that packaging, presentation, to me, has always been an inextricable part of the art. Like, half the fun in doing a record is the cover, is the lyric sheet, is all of that stuff, is trying to find a visual that emulates the sound, because we have more than one sense, and I did like the continuity notion of everything on Workshed coming from the same town, working within a similar graphic scheme, at least as far as the dominance of the color black and everything else. But not because I thought it would sell more records, but because I thought it would create a distinct flavor. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No.
Like, totally. I think about like that Hard Stance record. That was the first release on the label. I believe Carrie Nation was second. I'm not sure, but and I was so thrilled that it was Gavin that did that record, because he got it. I mean, he nailed it. That was the Workshed aesthetic I was hoping for. And then Gavin did the Carrie Nation cover. And then 411, or not 411, Head First, they got it. And they carried the ball further. Eventually there was some deviation and we got away from it. And eventually the label was made no sense for an all Orange County label to be run by a guy living in the Bay Area. But while we were doing it, it was fun.
Okay. So, final question. Mm-hmm. With your podcast, I know we've talked, and I can cut this out if you don't want to answer this question. It's nothing personal or anything, but...
Well, when do you think this is going to drop?
That's what I'm going to wait until Nelson announces the show. That's my plan, because I don't want to jump it with, hey, he did a Carrie Nation interview. What show is this? And there's no show that...
Yeah, it could all be full of shit.
Right, exactly. This for all we know, exactly. So
we could have started the whole thing off discussing a benefit that never takes place.
Which I think, can we do another interview about potential benefits that don't take place?
I'd rather not.
Can we ever do how I do Boxing Time TV and I do simulated fights and I commentate on them? Could we ever do maybe create a heavyweight and bring them up through the ranks, have them fight, all the Alexander Usyks and stuff like that?
No.
Okay. So, final question. I know with the Dano Says So podcast, something that I don't know if struggle is the word, but you've gone back and forth about in your mind, and even that may not be the word. But the point of what I'm trying to say is, you said that this time around, you're going to interview some people from the punk scene. You're going to interview some people that have nothing to do with the punk scene. Can you kind of talk about what people that are fans of the podcast? Because one thing that's been a narrative, whenever you talk to people, everyone always says the same thing when you're interviewing them. Dan, I'm so glad that you're doing a podcast. I can't believe it took you this long to do a podcast. You're great at this. So, yeah, what can people expect?
Well, sort of a different version of that I got from Kevin Panner and from a few other people, which is, you call it Dano Says So, but you don't really say much. Everybody else is saying something. And my counter to that has always been sort of, your choice of guests is an editorial into itself.
Yeah.
And your choice of questions makes a statement. But that said, I do dance back and forth with the idea of maybe adding some special comments here and there, like segments, or doing some editorial content. I haven't decided. But the episodes that I'm really, really proud of, and I love all of them, like getting to go back and forth with Ian and not always agree. That was a thrill, and he was great about it, and it was really good content. But it was just as exciting to talk to a world-class epidemiologist who worked all over the globe in the midst of the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
In interviewing Alexia, interviewing a guy from PBS Frontline and ProPublica, a journalist who's just right there in the front lines in the rise of the far right in Adam Thompson or AC Thompson. That's gold, and if punk rock gives me access to those people. Spencer Ackerman, has a damn Pulitzer, but he went to shows at ABC No Rio. So punk is a great gateway to those people, but I want even more of those people without the punk rock ingredient being a necessity. I'm reaching out to professors at Yale. I'm reaching out to the author of a definitive book on how fascism works. I'm trying to sniff around boxing. I'm trying to respond to something that Nelson said to me when I was during one of the many times when I took a break from the podcast. I hung it up initially when the pandemic ended. I stopped it the last time because we were in the end stages of taking care of my father, and then I was sort of processing his loss. But what Nelson said was, I don't know if you need to worry about interviewing punk rockers. I think the fact that the interviewer is a lifelong punk rocker is the punk rock aspect, is that you are asking people from whatever world from your point of view, which is not a conventional point of view. So it's punk rock no matter who you're talking to because you're a damn punker.
Exactly. One more question on that. In this day and age where it just seems like people want, you'll see interviews with, it's a 3-4 hour interview. And I'm saying I enjoy that. But at the same time, it's also nice when, you listen to a podcast, it's 20-30 minutes. You seem to actively favor an hour or under. Is there a reason for that?
I do that in everything. I do it in music too. I've never played an hour-long set in my life. I think there's a real power to leaving people wanting more. But that said, also it's better just not to overstay your welcome. Ian went long. I think Gavin went long. I usually tell people to be a minute, right around 30 minutes, but it could go longer. And some of them, they just naturally go longer. Wayne Kramer from the MC5, when I was interviewing him, he had a hard out time that he waved off because he was enjoying the conversation. So some talks just go. But, a lot of the podcasts that I listen to are over an hour long, and that's great. It's just not what I want to do.